As I lay on my bed in a dreamlike state, I started to see images that reminded me of something I once knew, but I could not comprehend their meanings. I felt that I knew myself as if I was another. I started to have the feeling of déjà vu. Out of work, I spent most of my time out in the streets, just standing, leaning against walls, watching people and time pass me by. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I felt an uneasiness about the way I was becoming. I kept thinking when I was young, when I was 5, how things could have been so different. How I wish things didn't have to be that way. Out on the streets, I saw so much violence, so many late-night drunken fights. Sometimes a fight had started, I would join in, punching complete strangers, often leaving both enemies on the floor. My landlord wanted to chuck me out of my flat. There was no way I could let him. He would not understand what was in there. So I went on an interview as an engineer at a distribution company. "Mr. Jacob Jakes?" "Yes, Mr. Jacob Jakes," I repeated, liking it so much. The interview went well, but I didn't get the job. I walked home despondent that the man had appeared so nice to me, and yet it was only a fake facade. So I waited for him and followed him home. At first, I wanted to impress him, to explain why he should employ me, but by the time I was in his house and had subdued his wife, I was sitting on top of the man, blood on my fist, his eyes staring back, fear at me. I froze, feeling unsure what had just happened, and yet at the same time feeling more me than I ever had. How could it be possible that I could feel comfort in inflicting pain to others? Somehow I was passing my pain into them and setting myself free. I stood up, apologizing to both him and his wife, but his wife was now unconscious due to the gag on her mouth. The man on the floor got up and started shouting, waving his arms about, that he was going to call the police, that I would go down for life. His words started to meld into an irritating noise, and I found myself becoming enraged. It felt as if all the pain that had ever been inflicted to me, all its energy was being collated. My body was flexing, my fist expanding, my veins rising, the blood flowing, and then I released my large fist straight into the middle of his face, causing his nose to split. Blood shot across his wallpaper, and his body fell across the room. I walked slowly over to him. A changed man, a hulk of a man whose body had become a killing machine. My muscles flexed, my skin tightened, as I unleashed a quick succession of punches down upon his weak body, until blood was running freely with every incisive punch. The wife had woken up and had jumped on my back to stop me. I turned around, picked her up, and with all my might I pulled back my arms as far as they would reach, and then released her. She flew through the air, smashing into a glass cabinet. I looked at the man's face as I continued to kick the shit out of him, and then I lifted up one piece of the sofa chair and threw it down upon his face, and that was the last squeal he ever did make. As death surrounded me, I looked upon my hands covered in blood, and I felt a sense of appreciation, a sense of well-being, a sense that this was what I was destined always to become. Where once I had hidden death away, now I had caused it, created it. I left that house 16 Providence Way and returned the next day to watch the police as they took the body, and then to see Body Jobs Ltd. coming to clean away. Now there was no way I could go back. There I knew would be more murders to commit, more necessary torture in which my pain could be set free. As I had killed that man, my mind was injected by memories I had long forgotten, parts of me I didn't know existed, missing pieces of the jigsaw of my existence. I walked to my mum's house. She was in the kitchen, cooking. I didn't say a word. She turned and saw me, and frowned. I took the knife off the kitchen table. I did something I had longed to do. I plunged it straight into her heart. She gasped a trickle of blood and slid down the kitchen cupboards onto the clean floor. For the next 2 days I sat by my mum, cleaning her up, keeping away the flies and maggots, giving her little drips of water. I knew she was dead, but it was the only warmth I had ever had with my mother, so I enjoyed it as much as I could before I buried her in the garden. I moved all my stuff in the middle of the night from my flat and left a note and some money in an envelope outside. I wouldn't be coming back, as I was going home.